I've created an artificial intelligence platform that can be trained on a set of publications. This AI platform can then reliably, consistently, and correctly answer questions and provide guidance with respect to the information found in those publications. Whenever practical, my AI platform will provide a direct quote from the source document, as well as provide the chapter and paragraph that the user can find the information for themselves. In this demonstration, you'll see an iteration of my AI platform trained on all the documents required to assist an executive officer with administrative tasks, and one iteration trained to assist a T-6 instructor with the administration of undergraduate pilot training. Welcome to this demonstration of my learning language model platform configured as a Commander's Executive Officer's Assistant application. This advanced AI tool is designed to provide Air Force executive officers with instant, accurate, and consistent information and guidance with respect to the latest Air Force instructions, handbooks, and manuals. Today we'll show you how this product can significantly enhance the quality of life for executive officers and save hundreds of hours of administrative creep across the United States Air Force. Alright, so when you first log in, you're presented with this login screen. Oops. And first you have to enter the right credentials. There we go. And the first question we'll be asking it is this. I'm a squadron exec responsible for managing my squadron's OPRs for second lieutenants through lieutenant colonels. OPRs are due to the group 6 weeks before the SCOD for that rank. Come up with a plan to organize due dates for my OPRs in my squadron for this year. After some waiting, it has come up with a plan. So according to the 36-2406, SCODs and accounting dates for different ranks are as follows. 31 October for lieutenants, accounting date of 3 July. Captain SCOD is going to be 31 August with an accounting date of 3 May. Majors and lieutenant colonels, SCOD is going to be 31 May with an accounting date of 3 February, which is all correct. So for planning, OPRs are due to the group 6 weeks prior, 6 weeks prior, and 6 weeks prior. Absolutely correct. So it's telling us we're going to mark our calendar with the SCODs and then set internal deadlines of at least 2 weeks prior. Provides example dates, notifying officers and supervisors, and then it spits out the example timeline for lieutenants, just for lieutenants, and then a summary of key dates for lieutenants, captains, and majors and lieutenant colonels. Provides a reference and a disclaimer. So now building off of that, I'm now going to ask it to draft an email to the squadron outlining this new OPR policy. So this AI is trained on the tongue and quill. So all of the emails, all of the correspondence are going to be put out in accordance with that document. So the email has key deadlines, by rank, actions required for supervisors, officers, and the review process, as well as internal reminders and an example timeline. Again, it will tell you to verify that with the official documents, but this is cut down on a ton of time, probably a whole afternoon's worth of work. I was just able to do in about 30 seconds. All right, for our next demo, we'll ask the following question. I'm hosting an official retirement ceremony for the wing commander in 3 months. In accordance with the regulations, create a calendar organizing everything that must be done in order to get this accomplished. How would I go about financing meals and refreshments during this event? And now we are presented with a retirement ceremony itinerary. So 3 months prior, we're going to do our initial planning meeting. We will discuss the overall plan, assign roles, and set deadlines. The event coordinator will be responsible for this. We'll assign a finance officer, and we will come up with a budget 3 months prior with the budget for the ceremony, including invitations, decorations, and any other expenses. 2.5 months prior, we need to book the venue. That'll be on the event coordinator. And we need to come up with a initial guest list as well. 2 months prior, we'll be sending out invitations to guests. With the regulation, the DAFMAN 65605 Volume 1, Section 519.4.1 is going to tell us that invitations, announcements, and programs for these ceremonies can be printed on personal computers with existing computer software and agency purchased cardstock, but will not be procured from commercial services including DAPS. Next, we need to coordinate with the Honor Guard. Again, the regulation from that's going to be the 65605 Volume 1, Section 519.4, saying local Honor Guard and Department of the Air Force band elements may support and perform at official retirement ceremonies. About 1.5 months, so 6 weeks out, we'll finalize the program, finalize the order of events and program details, and confirm attendance with VIPs and key participants. 1 month prior, we'll plan the rehearsal, schedule a plan, and order decorations and supplies. 2 weeks out, we'll do our final rehearsal with all participants, confirm catering, and confirm the catering arrangements. That'll be on the logistics officer. 1 week prior, we'll do our final checks, and the day of the ceremony, we'll set up the venue and execute the ceremony. As far as financing, the 65605 Volume 1, Section 5.20 says that we cannot provide food, drink, or entertainment for military members, blah, 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 for cases except authorized by law. Pretty much it's going to tell us that we cannot use appropriated funds to finance meals and refreshments for retirement ceremonies. However, we can refer to the AFMAN 34201, Chapter 12, which provides guidance for special morale, welfare, and recreation funds, which I would go ahead and look into that to see if we can get funds that way. All right, so my next question is, what roles will need to be assigned in the initial planning meeting? And here we go. So it comes up with some key roles: event coordinator, finance officer, protocol officer, logistics, public affairs, honor guard coordinator, band coordinator, rehearsal coordinator, catering, guest liaison, and program coordinator. So a lot of these roles can be, grouped under one person. However, we now have a list of 10 roles that we can assign to individuals and delegate those responsibilities that way. All right, so this next question is draft a program for the retirement ceremony. Draft program. So we have pre-ceremony music, welcome and introduction by the Master of Ceremonies, presentation of the colors, national anthem, invocation from the chaplain, opening remarks from the Master of Ceremonies, reading of retirement orders, presentations of award and decorations, retirement certificate presentation, flag presentation, the retiree gets to speak, guest speakers have some remarks, closing remarks from the Master of Ceremonies, benediction, retirement marks, and reception. Dress code, RSVP details, everything's done. So this was, again, about half a day's work, maybe more, organizing and coming up with roles and responsibilities, as well as a draft retirement ceremony program that was done in about 3 minutes. This is going to significantly improve the quality of life for executive officers across the Air Force. So for our final demo, we're going to draft an eSSS to the Dyess Air Force Base Wing Commander requesting approval to host a car show on base. We're going to route the eSSS from the squadron level through the OSS, the group, and then ultimately up to the wing. We're going to include additional coordination with all other relevant base agencies to include security forces and PA. So this draft follows the guidelines outlined in the tongue and quill. So you have our to, from, and CC block, as well as subject and date ready to go. We have our coordination block with everybody that we need to send this to, and our staff summary sheet. So it's going to be us with the suspense date. We have a purpose, a background, a discussion, views of other, and a recommendation to approve the car show to be hosted on Dyess Air Force Base. We also have a signature block and tabs. So here's something cool. So now that we have to come up with a public affairs plan. So I'm going to say draft an MFR of the public affairs plan for the base car show. So now we have a MFR for the public affairs plan for the base car show. So for this MFR, we have a purpose, we have a background. Car show is scheduled for a proposed date at proposed location at Dyess Air Force Base. We have objectives. We have a strategy, media engagement, internal communication, community outreach, partnering with local organizations to spread the word, engage with local car clubs and enthusiasts to promote the event, as well as responsibilities, saying, PA, we want you guys to do these things. The event coordinator will do these things. Security forces will do these things, as well as a timeline. 4 weeks prior, we're going to do this. 2 weeks prior, do that. 1 week before, do this. So as a point of contact and your signature block. As you can see, we drafted an MFR immediately, and then we can simply edit some things, push it to the PA office, and we just saved tons of hours worth of work coming up with and brainstorming how to get this MFR drafted in about 30 seconds. As a final point in this demo, with an administrator account, you have access to the Manage Documents tab. Under this tab, you're able to manage all the documents that this AI is trained on. So let's say we want to update the AFI 1-1. When we go to delete, the AFI 1-1 has now been removed from this AI's memory, so it can no longer quote or provide any information regarding the AFI 1-1. So if we want to upload that, we can upload the more current AFI 1-1 and select Upload File. And now, as you can see, the file has been successfully uploaded to the vector store, which means that the AI has ingested that document, interpreted it, and has now added everything in the AFI 1-1 to its memory base. And it can now provide guidance and knowledge based on the information found within that PDF. That concludes the demonstration of my platform configured as an executive officer's productivity assistant. And now for the T-6 Instructor's Assistant demonstration. The advanced AI tool you're seeing in this demo is designed to provide T-6 instructors with fast, accurate, and consistent information across 3 disciplines. First is formal training administration, referencing the AFI 36-2605 Volume 1. Next is standard eval responsibilities, which will reference the 11202 and the 112 T6 Volumes 1 and Volumes 2. And third is as an operational reference by referencing the 11248 and the 11202 Vol 3, as well as the 112 T6 Vol 3. All right, so let's get into this demo. So after I log in, I'm presented with this chat box, and the first question I'll be asking is, what are the minimum requirements for emergency egress training for an incentive flight in the T6A? We get our response. So some things I'd like to highlight with this response, and you can pause to read for yourself, but every answer is going to include a reference to a source document, a verbatim quote from that source document, and a disclaimer to verify information with publications or a winged aviator. So building on from this, my next question will read, General Snuffy is coming to Vance Air Force Base in order to execute an incentive flight. What training needs to be accomplished in order for him to legally be a passenger aboard a T6 as an incentive flyer? And then here we go. This is everything that he needs to do. He needs to do local area survival. He needs to do emergency egress training, as discussed before. He needs to review the flight manual with an instructor and undergo cockpit familiarization. The next question we'll ask will be more of a mission planning question. So it'll be, what are the fuel planning considerations for a T6A? How do I determine required fuel reserves for a 2-hour flight? So the answer to this question, what are the fuel planning considerations for a T6, and how do I determine the required fuel reserves for a 2-hour flight? So first, it will answer all the fuel planning consideration, pre-flight fuel requirements, fuel reserves, which is correct, extending the total planned flight time between refueling points by 10% up to a maximum of 45 minutes or 20 minutes, whichever of those two are greater. Let's remember that. It even catches that turbine-paired aircraft need to have fuel reserves to provide for best endurance at 10,000 feet. Some other considerations are Joker and Bingo fuel, as well as normal recovery fuel, which is coming from the 112 T6 Vol 3. Now, in terms of calculating required fuel reserves for a 2-hour flight, This is not trained on performance data for the T6 because I'm not able to use that data unless I'm under contract for an official Air Force contract. However, the math here is correct. It does recognize that a 2-hour flight is 120 minutes. 10% of that is 12 minutes. Thus, the fuel reserve should be 20 minutes because 20 is greater than 12 as stated earlier. Now, this is the only part that is incorrect, which is guessing 300 pounds per hour at 2 hours would be 600 pounds. The reserve fuel is 20 minutes at 300 pounds per hour, which gives us an extra 100 pounds. So this math is correct. However, the specific numbers may not be in accordance with the T6 performance data, again, because I'm not able to feed that because I'm not under contract with an official Air Force entity at this time. But then it goes down and breaks down the calculations for you, as well as providing a disclaimer at the end. All right, so this last demo is something that is actually honestly impressive to me. As a Sandoval guy, I was responsible for creating a 200 question MQF, updating all of our questions that we ask students in order to get their wings based on the most up-to-date and relevant guidance. That took me about 6 months of constant work, a ton of extra additional duties, and I was able to create a 15-question oral exam on the fly in about 30 seconds. So let's look at some of these. What are the minimum weather conditions required for takeoff in a T6? It provides the reference and the expected answer. Ceiling of 301 or lowest compatible approach mins? Absolutely. Can I commence an approach if reported weather at the destination is below lowest compatible approach mins? No, don't begin a descent or commence an approach when the reported weather at the destination is below lowest compatible approach mins. Absolutely. What is the definition of bingo fuel? Coming out of the 11248? Absolutely. Describe the significance of the wants memory aid in mission planning. Weather, activate, NOTAMs, told, SID star, and self, including ensuring completion of major steps. Absolutely correct. What are the minimum weather conditions for VFR nav? 11248, chapter 8. Takeoff and land VFR is 1503. Generally correct. There is some nuance there with respect to airspace, but this will get you in the ballpark. This is an acceptable answer if a student were answering this question. And we, as always, have our disclaimer to verify this information with official pubs or winged aviator to ensure compliance. So now an important feature I'd like to highlight is that under admin accounts, we have access to the manage documents tab. This allows me to go in and manage what files the AI is trained on. So I can look down here at the file name, and let's say there's a new 11248. I can delete this file, and this AI knows nothing about the 11248 anymore whatsoever. It cannot reference it, it cannot answer those questions. But I can also go to choose file, and I can upload, let's say hypothetically, the newer version of the 11248. And it is now uploaded that PDF and digested it into the vector store. And now this LLM is capable of understanding and providing reference to information on the 11248. It also provides a timestamp to let you know when it was created. So that is 13 July at 2:41. And that is absolutely correct. A major issue within the United States Air Force, at least within the flying community, is the backbreaking amount of additional duties on top of their primary duty of flying aircraft. A large number of these additional duties require many hours of diving into thousands of rules and regulations to even understand what you can and can't do. A potentially larger amount of these additional duties entail actually interpreting and applying these rules and regulations to action bounded by publication guidelines provided at the wing and Air Force level. This has been identified as one of the major contributing factors to our rated aviator retention issues. This was the problem that I had in mind when I set out on starting this project. I've spent many hours researching learning language models and natural language processing to engineer my software to provide consistently accurate answers and provide accurate references to the source document or documents from which it's retrieved its information from. My product is currently hosted on a local server, so the demos that I've uploaded will serve as proof of concept to show that I do have an MVP and am ready for deployment on a live server with actual funding. I'm primarily looking to work with AFWorks or SparkCell branch to develop this project further, but I'm open to license this software with whatever entity is interested in my product. I've consulted with my local JAG office, United States Air Force Intellectual Property Office, and the Secretary of the Air Force's Deputy Director of Intellectual Property Law, and I'm currently limited to using publicly available documents found on the e-publishing website with unrestricted usability, unless provided with documents from a client to be used as official use. My contact information is on the screen, and the demos of this project are linked in the description below and at the end of this video. This little weekend project of mine has actually grown into something months later that I believe is not only viable, but is ready to make an impact on the Air Force on day one. I've uploaded this to my YouTube because I would greatly appreciate it if you shared this project with somebody that you think could make an impact with this tool at their disposal. Until next time, thank you.